San Jose, the Leafs, who've had little go right for them of late, struggled again, looked better in fact, but the result was the same. Joe Pavelski's goal, the winner for San Jose in a 3-2 final. And so we head right back to the HP Pavilion or Shark Tank in San Jose for the highly anticipated end of the evening, after hours. We were here just over a year ago in an effort to show our worldliness. Kelly and I said several times we were in Silicon Valley, and I got a call the next day from one of our colleagues, who shall remain nameless, but it was Chris Cuthbert of TSN, who said, "What, have you idiots got breast implants on the brain or what? It's not silicone, it's silicon." Are we the first two hockey Lugans to make that mistake?
Pardon my language, but I'm not going to touch that line. I'm leaving that one for you guys. Live with it.
We welcome the general manager of the San Jose Sharks, Doug Wilson, to After Hours. Kelly.
How'd you guys turn this game around in the third?
Well, probably the way that we have lately. A lot of character. We hung with it. We stayed with it. We knew Toronto was going to come in and a sense of urgency with what they've done the first part of this trip, and they played hard, and we didn't match it. The last 40 minutes, our guys did, but we've been able to do that lately, and it's an element we've been working on this year.
Doug, here's a question from Randy in Lloydminster, Alberta. He's going to hammer you right at the start of the show. The Sharks have continued to play an extremely boring style of hockey, even though your team is extremely gifted offensively. Will you ever consider opening things up, or will this painful trend continue? That's from Randy in Lloydminster.
Well, last year we scored 258 goals. This year we're on a pace to score about 50 less, and it's not through lack of effort or lack of talent. We're a hockey team that wants to be balanced. I mean, as you saw tonight, we scored some goals, and we've got some guys on this hockey team that maybe haven't put the numbers up that they have in past years, but in no way do we play a defensive style. Unfortunately, some of the games that our power play wasn't humming or clicking on all cylinders, we've had to play it closer than the best, but we want to open it up as the year goes on.
So let's talk about one of those players that you know I love dearly. So Patrick Marleau offensively hasn't had the year that he has previously. What's going on, and your thoughts about Patrick?
Well, Patty Marleau, I think, is one of the best players in this game, and I think what he's going through is an aberration. I mean, he's averaged over 30 goals a year the last 3 years. Some people don't realize he's the leading scorer in the playoffs the last 3 years. He's tied with Iginla with 20 goals. I think he's trying to do too much. There's some nights maybe he doesn't quite do enough, but I think in most cases it's trying to do too much, trying to beat that one guy, and the way teams defend in this day and age, it can be frustrating, and he will come out of it. He's too good a hockey player not to.
Do you worry about him?
I worry about him because I know how he keeps it inside him. You lived with him and you know what he's all about, and a lot of people look at him and say, geez, what's going through his mind? It's deep in his heart, and it bothers him more than anybody. But I will also tell you, this is only a progress report. It's not a report card. He'll be there.
Doug, one of the things you said in November and December when you were getting bombarded with what are you going to do questions was, I'm not going to trade Patrick Marleau. But if this slump was to continue and you get to the trade deadline and it doesn't look like it's going to get any better, might you yet reach the conclusion that he could need a change of scenery?
Well, here's what we do. We look every day ways to build this hockey team and make it better. And we did a pretty substantial trade a few years ago. So you don't say that there's things you don't look at, but one thing I'll never do is talk about other teams' players or our own players. If something happens at any level with this hockey team, you guys might not be the first to hear about it.
Oh, we had to ask.
A for effort.
How about the goaltending position? You have Nabokov. Is he going to play every game? What's the situation there, too?
I don't think he'll play all 82 games. We explored a couple options the other day because we were concerned we might have lost Dimitri Patzold to waivers. We've had a succession plan now for over a year and a half. Our good friend Warren Strelo, who's not with us anymore, we had some great discussions. We like our goaltending pipeline. Obviously, Naber's playing the way we think he's capable of, and Dimitri Patzold and Thomas Greiss are coming. And we think we're comfortable there. If we'd lost Dimitri, we might have looked elsewhere.
Well, yeah, on that point, if he had not cleared waivers, would you be looking at bringing someone like Curtis Joseph in here?
We would, and I don't say that we don't continue to look at ways to help our team, but Thomas Greiss then would have had to come up here, and we don't want our young players, especially goalies, sitting. They need to play. So that might have altered our thinking or sped up the process.
Here's a question from Brett in Coquitlam, BC. Doug, has JR surpassed what you were expecting from him when you signed him?
I'd have to say yes. I mean, I've known Jeremy since he was 18, and what we wanted from him was to come in and just play hard. And he was not promised anything. He had to come in. If he was going to get 10 minutes a night, that's what he had to handle. You can say what you want about Jeremy, but the one thing that I know is that he loves this game. And at 37 years of age, to go put the work in to be able to play at the level that he is, he gets all the credit, and he's been outstanding for us.
You know, more than a few experts have picked the Sharks in each of the last 3 years to win the Stanley Cup, and you've won your share of playoff games. But what do you think the window of opportunity is for this team to win the Cup?
Well, I think we got a couple of windows of opportunity. We're the 4th youngest team in the league, and I hate even saying that because it's a reality, but it's not anything that we allow in our dressing room. I think you have to build on the experiences such as last year and then the prior 2 years. I was pretty upset at the end of last year because I thought we beat ourselves. I think we had, and that's no disrespect to Detroit, they're a wonderful organization, but we had them in a position that you've got to put people away, and that's hopefully the element that we've added to this hockey team.
You guys don't get a lot of scoring on the back end. That was obviously a key of your career. Any thoughts on that, or you just want the guys to grow naturally? Well,
you know, the offense comes, it's like our power play, which was number 1 or 2 in the league last year with the same personnel. It's a group that functions well. They move pucks really well. We're very strong defensively, and often that's the genesis of your offense. You know, we outnumber them down low. We move puck with the first pass, and you create offense on the rush or on the power play. We think our defensemen have those capabilities. Do we have the Lidstroms and Niedermayers? No, but not too many teams do. But we think we can create offense as well as most teams in the league.
Doug, just before Christmas, when the team was struggling, in lieu of practice on that day, you chaired a 2-hour meeting with the team, and to use your terminology, there's been a trend upward since. What did you say in that meeting?
Well, there's a reason it was a closed-door meeting. It was just we have a pretty good relationship here as far as a group. I just want the players to be honest with each other and feel comfortable to challenge each other, but know that you're there to support each other. And I thought, you know, I try to watch the body language of our group, and I thought there were some things that hadn't been dealt with. And they ran most of the meeting, and it was one of those meetings that went 2 hours, and Kelly as a player, those are a lifetime. But we were all surprised that it ended up being 2 hours. But I'm proud of the group, the things they addressed, and the honesty. I mean, there are some fascinating things said in that room, and my only question was why it took that long to address them.
Time now for a wacky segment of the program that we started about 6 weeks ago, and we were only going to run it 1 or 2 weeks, but it's been so wildly popular that we've been forced to beat it to death. Here it is. It's coming. There it is.
Oh, this is good. Is that after I scored on you?
All right, my parents, if you can believe it, my parents don't like this segment.
How many guys can actually say they took part in scoring on Kelly?
Well, you're one of them, because 590 career goals, for the love of God, some had to come against Hrudey.
I don't think I scored too many.
Oh, well, I know you scored quite a few, including in this when you were in this uniform.
I do remember one of those. I think the guy that I padded my stats against was Greg Millen.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, actually, we're changing that next week to how I padded my stats against Millsy.
Oh, that's an easy one.
Which leads us to this. You're a member of the competition committee, and if you look at Kelly's equipment there, it looks like he bought it in the junior section at Canadian Tire. I mean, small pads, and it's all very compact. Is the competition committee going to be faced this summer with a choice between more compact goalie equipment or bigger nets?
Well, I'm sure they are. I mean, you always take a look. When we started talking about things a few years ago in the work stoppage, it was one of the few opportunities that people weren't selfishly looking what it was best for their team, what was right for the game. You know, as a former defenseman, goalies are my favorite friends sometimes, but we want them to be safe. But you go back to when Kelly played and a lot of guys prior to that, the amount of net space that was available when you come down on a rush play from the side and score some goals or shoot from the point, it's changed drastically. The goalies
now the shooter sees nothing.
He sees nothing. Goalies are in much better shape. They're better athletes. They're better coached. But there has to be something.
Thanks for joining us.
Because I know there's something coming. I got to get my shot in while I can. But I think you constantly have to adjust to the adjustments, and you can't keep your head in the sand. And not that it always has to be more goals, more scoring chances, but I think lack of scoring chances because shooters aren't shooting the puck because there's not really much of a chance to beat these goalies.
Okay, Doug Wilson, Norris Trophy winner in 1982, had a pretty decent playing career, and that's up for discussion when we return to the HP Pavilion in San Jose with more of After Hours.